Hello everyone, welcome back to the StilyoApp channel. I am Ruth and in today's video we are starting off our Merchant Talk series with a very special merchant. This series is all about giving you insights from the people who have already managed to create stores that are working, functioning, and making them money. In this series, we want you to have the answer to any of your questions when you're just starting out with e-commerce. And the best way to do that is to learn from other people who have already encountered all of these issues and questions. So if you think you might have any kind of input to give to future merchants, to people just starting out, we have a form at the bottom at the description box of this video where you can sign up to actually interview as part of this series. So for this first episode, I am joined in by Varun Sharma, the co-founder of Laumière Gourmet Fruit. This is a store selling different fruit assortments. And what does that actually mean? They basically sell these beautiful chocolate boxes that are made of fruit. So this is a healthy alternative to sending people a sweet gift, a sweet praline box, but it's actually made of fruits and nuts, so it's way healthier. And honestly, I am totally into it and it looks beautiful. The store was founded on August 2019, so a little over a year ago. And on the very first month, they already reached $1,000 in revenue, which is pretty impressive for a store just starting out. Any of you who have started out know that it can be really difficult to get into these numbers from the beginning. So Varun is here to share his secrets with us. Varun, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. Pleasure being here.
Before we actually jump in to talk about your store, I would love to hear a little bit more about your own entrepreneurial journey. How did you come up with the idea? How did you decide to actually go for it? And what kind of past experience helped you starting your store?
So, I think a good starting point would be how you introduced the store. You started off by saying that it's a chocolate box but with fruits and nuts, and that's exactly the problem that we see. That the idea is that people at this point in time perceive gourmet gifting as chocolates, and that's something what we're trying to change. We want people to realize that fruits and nuts can be gourmet gifts as well, and that's something what we're trying to do with the Gourmet Fruits. Uh, we had a lot of support from the customers that we're working with, primarily retailing in the US and Canadian market. We retail only online, which we have a physical store and we are on a few other leading platforms. Um, and I think the idea of working out an alternative, bringing a change to how people pursue gourmet gifting is our biggest point at this point in time, what we're kind of trying to do. When I talk about the entrepreneurship journey and how this idea came apart, it's all my dad. Uh, he's the CEO and my partner in this. We've been more like he's been thinking about it for 5 years before he even launched. He was working out a business plan on what would work. He tried to envision what would be working 5 to 10 years from now, because I think he had a very long term vision and uh, he he really wanted to get this all together. And a big focus point for him was to have it on an online platform, and that's something we try to deepen on. And when you look at it over the last 1 year, if you weren't online, we'd probably be out of business right now. So that's something which has played a very key role. Even in terms of creating the product and coming up with all the tasty delicacies that you see on our website, uh, it's all him. Uh, he kind of takes care of it. My job is pretty much to just sell on what's on the website. That's kind of what I help with.
That sounds great. I actually didn't know it was a family business, so that's really interesting. Did either you or your dad have any kind of prior experience with entrepreneurship or with e-commerce specifically?
My dad had experience of close to 25 years in food and beverage. He played a role with one of the largest Middle East firms, establishing it. He left the job to start Lumiere. That's his particular experience in the food and beverages. In terms of entrepreneurship, I've had experience running a nonprofit back in university for about 2 years. That was very interesting. I've had experience in fundraising from one of the government entities and one of the government universities in UAE. I've had experience in mentorship and a few other platforms, but I'd say Lumiere is my first full-scale entrepreneurship venture, which is profit-based. I mean, by profit-based, what I mean is it's just a little bit more consumer-based. I think Laumière is more of a consumer-based brand that we're building as compared to the non-profit that I worked on earlier, and that's something which is different about it as compared to.
Both of you, it's like not your first rodeo. You both have some experience that is relevant, but it's the first time that you're taking off completely on your own. What do you feel gave you the courage to do that? Because it can be very scary leaving a job that you already have to something
Yeah,
like creating an online store.
no, that's true. I think that's a very valid point. But so for me, I'm 25. For me, it's not that much of a risk at this point in time. Like I was working at a good job in
Yeah.
Dubai, and I don't really have much liabilities at this point in time. For my dad, on the other hand, it was a lot more difficult because when you are 53 years old, you are leaving Dubai and moving to the United States to start a business by yourself. Um, it's scary. People think 53 is too old to start a business, but my dad was able to do it, leaving everything by. And I mean, it's not like we ever stayed in the US earlier. So he kind of
Hmm.
came here all by himself, set it up, and he's built on it over the last few months. More like it's been over a year now, but the idea is that he actually focused on it and tried to get it going, which I think is a lot more commendable than what I've done. Uh, because even initially, the idea was for me to not join full time. Um, I was
Hmm.
just kind of helping him out part time. And then once we started seeing the market traction and once we saw the store pick up and the customer validation done, that's when I decided to join full time a while back. And from there on, we've just been building it more and more.
That's really interesting. I think it is commendable that your dad at such an age had the desire to do something like that. I agree with you that it can be very scary when you have your life established. But I'm sure you guys, I don't know if you know that, but our company is actually also a family business, you can say. So my
Oh,
brother and I created it together.
wow.
So I think, yeah, I think having someone, first of all, having a partner really helps, but having someone from your family, it's someone you
Yeah.
trust, it's someone
Yeah.
you can encourage each other. You really know each other. It's really
Yeah.
helpful. So I
Yeah.
think I always love seeing things like that. It makes
Yeah.
it's nice. Yeah.
I mean, there is one
Um.
other aspect about how you're always learning. Like
Mhm.
because he's got so much experience in this, he's got so much experience over the years. I've learned things from him which I wouldn't have otherwise by just
Yeah.
probably even doing it. So that's where I think what he's been doing is a lot more interesting, and of course that's what helps in a family business.
That's incredible. Okay, so moving on to the $1,000 in revenue in your very first month. Just like I said in the intro, it's kind of it's a pretty big deal for most online stores. It's not obvious that you would even get revenue in your first month, let alone 1,000. So I have really two questions about that. First of all, were you profitable? Because we all know that in e-commerce revenue doesn't necessarily mean profit.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting to know that. And second, what was your secret? How did you drive so much revenue on the very first month?
So when you're working out a product-based company, the secret is to make a product really good. The customers want it. I think that's a bare minimum. That's where I'm not a big fan of drop shipping, where you just take a product from China and kind of sell it to the customer. That doesn't work. If you're really working towards building a long-term brand, you need to be building a product, a company which actually relates to customers, and that's something that we try to deepen on from day one. And that's why our website was always clean, minimal. We wanted people to see the products and want to buy it for themselves, for their families, for their kids, for their parents, and so on and so forth. That was kind of the idea that we tried to inculcate. That's something which really helped us from day one to build that sort of connection and focus on it. But now we launched it and we realized we have a limitation. We are a new company. People don't know our brand. People probably think we're a fake website selling
Mm-hmm.
nothing, and that's when we realized that we needed to really deepen on the aspect of the real brand that we are. So we added our contact information, our social media. And that was really critical. We changed our return policy to 100% refund if you don't like the product, because we need people to try it out. It's a food based product, and what if they don't like it? You're spending close to
Mm-hmm.
30 to $40. You really need to like the product to purchase it again and again. That's something which we deepened on, and that's something which we realized over time was really essential for us. Are we profitable? Even a year in, we are not profitable right now. We're still
Mm-hmm.
trying to cover our cost. We have very high expenses because our products are handmade. So we have a lot of labor costs involved. And when you're running a factory in California as compared to a lot of developing countries and a lot of developing cities, it works a lot more expensive. We are bootstrapped. We don't have a venture capitalist backing us up. Pretty much all the money is being put in from the family side. But we are covering our costs, I'd say. I think we're looking at it from a long-term perspective, and the idea of actually building a brand that is going to play a pivotal role in 5 to 10 years from now is something which is much more interesting to us than having like a short-term profit. Uh, One problem which I'm sure a lot of e-commerce stores would face is getting the initial traction going, but it's kind of like building a product which is good for a small size audience, but it is so good that that audience multiplies by itself. That's kind of what we try to do. It's not like you create a mass product. I think when you're starting off, especially the more niche you get, the more specialized you get, the better it is. And I think that's an important tip I have for anyone who's starting off with the store.
I think you actually brought up some really interesting points. So the first one is when it relates to the product, yeah, I totally agree with you that it needs to be something that people can be passionate about, that you actually think about the product. Because in the end, what I find is sometimes people who go into dropshipping, they just think about how do I make money? But you have to remember that your way to make money is to give actual value to customers. And if you're
Yeah.
just thinking about how do I get people to buy, how do I make money without caring that they actually end up getting a high quality end product, then you're gonna have a problem in the long run. And I see it a little differently than you. I think dropshipping can be a really good starting point. Like if you have an idea but you don't have the funds to actually start manufacturing and doing things yourself. But I do believe that it's never the end goal. Like in the
Yeah.
end,
Yeah.
you're going to have your own product in some way.
Yeah.
And for about the profitability, I really think that this is also a very interesting point that people sometimes expect that when they create a store, they're going to start making money. You see all those gurus on different social medias showing screenshots of $100,000 that they've made this month without actually saying anything about the cost behind that. There's always a
Yeah.
cost.
Yeah. There's always a
The
cost.
overhead, yeah, the overhead in e-commerce is very
Yeah.
high, and I think
Yeah.
it's just looking at things in the long run and actually planning for something that is sustainable is the most important thing. And
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that point up. But I mean, a lot of course, we see the 100K stores which seem like they're doing 100K from nothing. Um,
mhm,
but the actual money that you make is by getting a repeat customer and building that long-term relationship with the customer. A
yeah,
Facebook ad or a Google ad can help you acquire a customer one time, but that's not the end result. The end result is for them to purchase a second box, a third box, a fourth box, and they don't use any other social media platform for that. They come directly to your website and purchase it. And that's where you actually make money, and that's where the customer lifetime value is a very important metric to be considering, and kind of increasing. So if you look from a graph perspective, to know that a customer, how many are converting to purchase 2 boxes, how many are converting to purchase 3 boxes, that's an important metric to kind of build on over time.
I completely agree with you. We built a whole product centering just about helping you increase the customer average order value and retention.
Yeah.
But I'm interested to know what kind of tools do you guys use to improve retention and to increase AOV?
uh, I think a few tools. I mean, look, I think it's less of what tool you use, it's more of how you implement it, and it depends on what kind of store you're running. So for us, that we realize something which is working is a discount code. So we give about discount for anyone purchasing 3 or 5 or 10 and so on and so forth. Um, we didn't use an app. As a matter of fact, we just developed it in house. Quite literally, added a message which says this is it, and this is the discount code. Um, another app which has been good uh, is using email marketing. So we use email marketing platforms which really help us in building that long-term connection with customers, sending them an automated email, uh, and sending out multiple campaigns. Uh, and the third app I think I'm going to talk about is your app, which has been really beneficial to us. So we use the Reconvert app which we're selling, and basically on the checkout page gives customer an option to kind of upsell, but by giving a particular
Yeah,
discount. And I came across this app and I used a, get a 10% off if you purchase the same uh, order again. and that seems to be working really well. And so I think the idea is to kind of deepen into the relationship and seeing what works. Getting the number one app on the App Store is not the way to go. It's kind of seeing what works with your app and how you implement
Yeah.
it. Like,
Yeah.
for example, we're working on a partners program now, which is going to be working out with influencers and giving them an incentive to kind of help us and partner with us and work on it. Uh, and something we've been deepening on, because the idea again I'm going to repeat, but it depends on how you implement and use the app rather than just using the app, which works in the long
Yeah.
term.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think when you look at customer retention, you just have to, it's something that stores a lot of the times. It takes them sometimes years to figure it out that it's not enough to get new people in. You have to invest in the people that have already bought
Yeah,
to get them to buy again. So retention is really about creating a relationship with your customers.
yeah.
Um, so what kind of, I mean, we can talk a lot about our app, but this is not the goal here. We're not here to promote it. So anyone who wants to hear more about it, just check out the rest of the videos on our channel. But I'm really interested to know what kind of email marketing platform do you use? What tools do you use for email marketing?
Uh, I think right now we made a switch to Cliveo, and we've
Mm.
been following a lot of flows on that, such as Welcome
Yeah,
Series, Abandoned Cart, Browser Abandonment, and we are working on a few campaigns as well that we want to send out with the launch of our new collections.
awesome.
That is something which has been working well for us and something we didn't focus on earlier. So I think that's another tip for anyone kind of getting started, that
Yeah,
start with email marketing from day one, start collecting email IDs from day one. We do SMS marketing as well. We take mobile numbers too. And I recommend that as well to anyone who's kind of trying to build on it. Um,
yeah. And do you do it
and
full Klaviyo as well or another app?
SMS, we're using an app called SMS Bump at this point in time. Uh,
Yeah,
but I've heard,
they're great.
they're great app. But I've heard Claveo has started SMS marketing.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
so I'm thinking of making the switch to Claveo for that. But again, I haven't researched enough on it. Uh, I'm going to check up on it and see if it works well,
Hmm.
and probably get SMS marketing done from Claveo too.
So I personally love Klaviyo. I think it's like maybe the best email marketing platform for e-commerce. We actually use it for SaaS as well, just because it's so comfortable.
Yeah.
Um, and I think, are you guys doing only abandoned checkouts, abandoned carts, welcome emails, or do you have any kind of special email automations that you use to actually get people back to buy more?
Um, we use a customer win back flow sometimes for customers who purchased one.
Hmm.
We use incentivization during that. We send out very personalized emails, and I think that's something which is very important when you're doing e-commerce. Sending a generic
Yeah,
email which makes it seem like a system email doesn't work. So you kind of need to send very specific emails. Some of them go out from me, like signed by me, or some of them go out sent from my dad, sometimes from the customer service. But there's always a person involved, and if they
yeah,
want to reply to that message, and one of us would actually reply to it. And I think that is where the deepening of the relationship comes in. And we run a few campaigns for our product launches. We got a lot of support for that as well from some of the customers. And yeah, I think that's where email marketing plays a role, to deepen that relationship more in the long term. uh, and have an automation to a degree, but having that personalized automation is the key.
yeah. I it's funny because we do something similar whenever we have an email that we want people to take action on. Let's say someone uninstalls the app and we really want them um, to pay attention to this email, whatever it is, to reinstall the app or just to tell us why, to give us the reason so we can improve. We send the emails as plain text. We did some testing and we found out that works best. It's
What's
basically,
Yeah,
it's an email that feels like someone wrote down
yeah,
and
yeah,
sent it to you, not like an automatic one. So that's a really good
yeah,
point.
yeah,
I love that.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I mean, if you're doing it, then we know that that is the industry standard. So I mean, that's something which we all should learn from. That especially when it comes to these very key emails, such as order cancellation, or if an app is uninstalled, it's better to go for like a
hmm.
plain text. Of course, there's testing involved, but it's better to keep it plain and personalized to work out best.
So, okay, so we talked a lot about retention, which is, I think, it's a wonderful point. It's very important. And I think I really agree with you that you can set up the systems from day one. Most of these apps, like Klaviyo, also they have a pretty generous free plan, and you can set it up even before you have sales, and everything is fine. Um, but I'm interested also to know before you work on retention, how do you actually get customers into the store? What are your marketing strategies or tools? What do you use?
Um, I think I'll go back to one of the questions you asked previously: are we profitable or not? And I said we're not profitable. That's because we keep on testing our different platforms. So as of today, we are talking. We are running ads on Facebook. We're running ads on Google. We're running ads on Bing. And Bing is something we just started last week.
Yeah,
And so we kind of invest back money on it to kind of get the customers going. I think our customer profile is more mothers in the older age group. So Facebook has been working well for us. Google has worked well for us
hmm
as well. Bing, too early to give a judgment, but I'm hoping it picks up. Uh, these
I
are
think being
basic.
yeah. Sorry, I think being for the older population is going to be pretty good for you guys.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
right on
That's
point. Yeah.
exactly. That's because a Bing customer is pretty happy with his computer. He doesn't want to change his browser or doesn't want to change the default.
Exactly.
So I think that's something if we can kind of reach out to them with a very simple message, that's going to be very important for us. These are the basic strategies we use. We have a lot of calling as well that we do. That we reach out to customers directly, and that's where the personal connection comes in. This is not to new leads; it's generally to the older people. But I think for new leads, it's always been digital ads. So much so that I think our entire budget goes in digital ads. We don't do
Yeah.
any other platform at this point in time.
So you keep reinvesting in the business to grow it,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a cycle. It's a cycle. Money we made last month is what is going in this month for the advertising.
hmm
Uh, I mean, we cut down. So
And
we take the money, we cut down what salary has to be paid, what rent has to be paid. Whatever is left is the marketing budget.
yeah,
That's kind of
that's good. I mean, I really think that's how you should keep growing your business. As long as the ads are working and you have room to grow, as long as you haven't exhausted the audience and the
yeah,
platform is telling you they can't reach new people, why not keep advertising?
yeah,
Yeah.
and that's something which has been. I mean, so much so that we came up with a collection called the Superfood Parfait Collection, which is completely sugar free. So it's like desserts without sugar.
hmm
Which work really well, and that's one of our best sellers as of today. And then we come up with a lot of specific collections. So that's where our audience doesn't get exhausted because we target a lot of different audiences. So, for example, we have the La Autumn
Yeah.
collection, which is Halloween focused. Then we have a
hmm
Diwali collection, which is focused towards the Indian festival. Then we have a Hanukkah collection, which is focused towards the
Yeah.
Jewish community. So we don't try to exhaust the audience with the same product. We try to get them new products for them to engage on as well. And that's another learning that we've had that you're just selling the same thing across the year, it doesn't work. You need to come up with
hmm
something special.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. And I actually have some questions about that. But before that, I wanted to ask you if you have any kind of uh, organic marketing channel. Are they all paid channels, or do you also use some, I don't know, SEO,
We do.
just organic social media?
Yeah, yeah. Our social media is pretty strong. We
Mm-hmm.
build a nice following on that, and that's been very focused on us. Um, Even our SEO is something we've been building on continuously throughout the year. Um, and I think anyone looking at building an e-commerce store, SEO is the way to go for the long term. It's not your Facebook ads
Yeah.
because you want to be organically found. We get a large percentage from organic searches as well. For someone searching, let's say, uh, fruits and nuts gift box, so we kind of get customer from that or something or the other. We get a lot of purchases on social media directly. We're very active on social media on every platform, uh,
Mm-hmm.
and that's something which has really helped us as well. So I think it's a balance of organic and paid marketing, which has played a role in building the brand.
Awesome. And do you, when you talk about SEO, do you have any kind of strategy that you use, any kind of link building or content strategy? Do you have a blog that you write? How do you get most of your traffic? Do you get it to your blog or to your product pages?
So we do write blogs every now and then. We do get guest writers as well on the blog, and that's something which has helped us.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, there's a lot of backlinks which you can have, such as articles being
Yeah.
published, collaborating with newspapers, collaborating with bloggers, having a better social media presence, having a better mobile optimized web store, uh, having keywords on your homepage or product pages, keeping the landing page as the product page, uh, different strategies. We try everything. We've been
Mm-hmm.
trying pretty much everything, and it's been working. Um, it's it takes time. I think SEO is again a long term game, and that's something we realize as well. Because we're building a brand, we know
Yeah.
SEO is not going to be built in a month or two. It's something we built on every month. We get external help as well. We have few agencies which help us out too. Um, uh, because the idea is to build a website right. It's not to, again, because we're in it for the long term. We need the SEO and we need actual value, because writing a blog post filled with SEO words is easy. I think writing sensible blog posts which people read is what is rather interesting,
Yeah.
um, and
Yeah.
something
No.
we should be really working on.
Yeah, I think also one of the factors that Google takes into account for SEO is how long did a person actually spend on the
Yeah, yeah,
web page. So if all you have is keyword stuffing, Google is
yeah,
going to figure it out pretty
yeah,
quickly.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, you don't beat Google at their own
Wow.
game.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I know people who do these kind of black hat and gray hat tactics for SEO, and they always blow up very quickly in their ranking and then just disappear because Google figure it out and they just lower the ranking
Yeah,
completely.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's just not worth it. It's a
yeah.
time game, just like you said.
Time
Yeah.
game. Yeah.
Okay, so before that, you talked about the kind of different collections that you were listing to fit different communities and different people. How do you do any kind of testing for new products? How do you know what would work for the Halloween collection, what would work for the Hanukkah collection?
Well, so for Halloween, we did Halloween last year and we know it worked. We did Christmas last year, we know it worked. We're doing Diwali for the first time, we're doing Hanukkah for the first time. Because we've been in the
Mm-hmm.
business only for a little over a year, we don't have enough data to make decisions based on data right now.
Yeah.
But depending on how Hanukkah goes this year, we can make a decision next year to how deep do we go into it, how many boxes do we produce, what regions have a better market, and how do we decide on marketing. Um, as of now, it is a gut feeling. Um, but I think I think gut feeling with a prior knowledge of what works, what doesn't work, and then I think slowly down the line we start making decisions based on data. But that's
Yeah.
when we build sufficient data to kind of see what works. So, for example, we did Easter collection that worked really well. We did a Crescent
Mm-hmm.
collection, which was for Ramadan, which was catered to the Muslim community, that did really well. So now we know the next day we're going to be doing these as well. So I think that's kind of how we figure out. I think the first run is always based on intuition, but the
Yeah.
second run is where you get data and you can make better predictions.
So your way to test a new product is basically to release it and then just see how it does.
Yeah,
Or do
yeah.
you do some sort of A/B testing inside the product itself? Maybe you have a few different packages available for each
Um,
holiday, and then.
I think A/B testing in our industry works very differently. We do have two boxes. We have a 16-piece box and we have a 24-piece box. I wouldn't say that's A/B testing, just two offerings. Of course, we can see which works, which doesn't work with customers, and we kind of get deeper into that and try to figure out what to produce and how many quantities to produce. So, for example, we're
Mm-hmm.
doing, let's say, uh, 500 boxes square and 500 boxes rectangle for Hanukkah. We will see how the community responds to it. Are there bulk orders? Are there more smaller boxes selling than bigger boxes? And that's how we decide next year. So I think that itself is an A/B testing, um, but
Mm-hmm.
it's more of an offline A/B testing, if anything, because
Yeah.
there are a lot of multiple factors. It comes into the price, it comes into what they're looking at gifting, it comes into the bulk offers. Uh, but if anything, we've noticed that our customer base, if you call it A/B testing, a lot of it go for the 16 piece box, a lot of it go for the 24 box. It's pretty much an equal, because everyone has
Mm-hmm.
different reasons to kind of get it, and that's something we've been working on. In terms of testing the products in the box, we don't do that at this point in time. Uh, I think to maintain the collection as a consistent collection, we have only four products placed. Uh, we don't add like a fifth replacing the fourth, because I don't think we'd be able to promote that properly. And we don't even do custom
Mm-hmm.
boxes, so we don't give people option
Yeah.
to kind of select which of the six they want in this box. We don't do that because the entire So because we actually have a physical product, it takes us time to make it, get it ready, pack it in a box, seal it, and
Mm-hmm.
ship it out. So we just need to make sure that our supply chain is handled well. Um, and that itself is a limitation in how we do testing, but that I mean, I wouldn't really call it a limitation in a bad aspect. I think it's a limitation to for us to better plan, because now
Yeah.
we have our projections till the end of the year. We're working on that. It's not like okay, so Hanukkah is starting selling. Okay, let's make more Hanukkah boxes. That's not how it works. Hanukkah is being made right
You have to
now.
plan.
Yeah, we have to plan, and that's something which, because it's not just making a box. Then you get a photo shoot done, then you do a little bit research for the keywords, then you list the product, and you start marketing for it. In the marketing, you need videos, you need ad copy, you need
Mm-hmm.
creatives. Um, it's a lot of work, and this entire cycle is something we've been preparing for the last 3 months, for the next 3 months. Uh, that's how you go about it.
It's really interesting because I get the like logistics, how logistics affect what kind of testing you can actually do on the product itself. But I
Mm.
wonder if, I mean, I know you guys don't have data about it, but it's interesting to know whatever the fact that there aren't as many choices, the fact that there is like, there are only a few choices for the customer to choose from actually increases conversion rate because
Yeah,
they don't
yeah,
have all
yeah.
these many
Yeah.
choices to get lost in. Yeah.
I agree. I agree with you, and I have. So even though we don't have hard and fast data, we have seen that trend that uh, whenever you have too many products on the website, too many SKUs selling all
Mm-hmm.
of a sudden, people get confused. But across the year, we have a trademark La Kadiu Parfait collection, which is our signature, and the superfood collection, which is always on the website. When only these two collections are on the website, it's easier for people to choose what they want and purchase it and move on. Um,
Yeah.
more more products, of course, make it complicated. So that's, again, I think building a niche, building a very limited product, building a very specialty product is the way to go, uh, in the long term.
Yeah, yeah. It's you have your core products and then everything else changes around
Yeah,
it. It gives some
yeah,
stability, but then something exciting to try again if you like the
yeah,
previous
yeah.
product you bought. So do you do any kind of A/B testing on the website itself, on I don't know, pictures, titles,
Every
whatever?
every single day, literally every single day. I cannot emphasize
Yeah.
enough on how important A/B testing is. Uh, from how the pictures load to how the heading looks to what word is first, what word is second, for calling the rectangle box large, from changing the color of the button from one pixel red to one
Hmm.
darker red, to making the text bigger, to having a pop-up view differently at a different time, to view it differently on a mobile as to how it works on a desktop, uh, to show how the text is showing, to show a label, to show the products, ingredients. uh, Literally every day is an A/B test. Um,
I
I
love that.
cannot emphasize enough how much you need to be doing it, and I think the deeper and the better you do figuring out what works, the better it gets. Even in email marketing, um, I'm working with a partner right now where we're trying to enhance the emails by working on a different copy, by working on a different title, by working on how the button looks. So this is the same thing that we do in A/B testing, but just to make sure that we get the best optimized one. And yeah,
I love that. I think in any kind of business, but e-commerce, especially if you want to succeed in anything, you have to always test. You never know. Some things you think this is going to work and you find out it's completely the opposite of what your gut feeling told you. So the more you can test, the better.
yeah.
Okay, so we're pretty much at the end of the interview, but before I let you go, I just wanted to ask you one last question, which is if you were starting out right now today in e-commerce in Shopify, what would be the number one thing you would focus on to actually succeed?
Build a mobile first website with a product which is relatable, and that you would want to sell to your own family.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
think I think that would be the summarization of it. Because in Lomer, uh, I would give the product to my own friends and family, and that's something I understand and I relate to. Um, and the mobile first approach, because 80% of our customers are using mobile device. Uh, we literally, if we're designing anything, we design it first on the mobile and then on the computer, just to see how it
Hmm.
looks. I think that would be the key aspect. If you're getting in the e-commerce game, build it for the long term. Don't do it for the short term. Um,
Hmm.
and don't get carried away by making a few $100. Reinvest it, build something bigger, build a community around your brand. Build, I mean, the deeper you relate to your customer, the better the relationship, the easier it is for you to sustain in the e-commerce market.
Yeah, and I think these are all great pieces of advice. And building a product that you really believe in, that your customers would love, also helps you with building a relationship with them. It's all intertwined together
Yeah.
to building something that actually works. I love that. I definitely think there's a lot of e-commerce merchants out there that needed that advice, and that will appreciate this advice. So, where can our listeners and viewers reach you if they want to find you online on social?
So you could check out Laumière Gourmet Fruits on our website. It's Laumière Gourmet. That's LAUMIEREGOURMET.com. Uh, my email ID is varun@lumiergourmet.com. You could reach out to me directly if you need any help. You could connect with me on LinkedIn if you need any help. More than happy to help you build your e-commerce store by the name of Varun Sharma. That's VARUNSHARMA. We're available on all social medias: LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Laumière Gourmet, or facebook.com/Laumière Gourmet, same as our website. So, yeah, feel free to reach out to me. Thank you so much for having me. Truly appreciate you taking this time off. And you guys continue building the great apps that you are.
Thank you, Varun, for your time. I think you gave some awesome advice that would definitely help the people watching this. And we're going to link all of these social media and a website down below. So if anyone wants it, you're going to have easy access. Again, thank you for your time and for your advice. And I hope you guys watching this enjoyed this interview and got some good value out of it. If you have any questions, just write them in the comment section below and we're going to answer each one of them. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, don't forget to do that right now so you don't miss the rest of our interesting interviews. Again, thank you and have a great day, Varun. It was great talking to you.
Thank you. Thank you.